Hi, we're the Alamance Christian School Senior High Choric speakers from Graham, North Carolina. And today, we will be performing Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Listen.
Listen, listen,
Listen.
listen, listen.
Listen, my children.
Listen.
And you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere on the 18th of April in 75. Hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year.
He said to his friend,
"If the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower, as a signal light, one if by land, and two if by sea. And I, on the opposite shore, will be ready to ride, and spread the alarm to every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up, and to arm."
Then he said,
Good night.
and with muffled oar,
Silently,
silently, rowed to the Charleston shore.
just as the moon rose over the bay,
We're swinging wide after moorings laid,
the Somerset,
British man of war,
a phantom ship,
with each mast and spar across the moon
like a prison bar,
and a huge black hulk.
that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide.
Meanwhile, this friend,
Through alley and street, wanders and watches with eager ears.
Till in a
Silence.
around him he hears
The muster of men at the barrack door.
the sound of arms, the tramp of feet, and the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore.
Then he climbed to the tower of the church,
Up the wooden stairs with stealthy tread to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch on the somber rafters.
Of the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, he paused.
to listen and look down a moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath, in the churchyard, lay the dead in their night encampment on the hill.
Wrapped in silence, so deep and still.
That he could hear like a sentinel's tread the watchful night wind, as it went creeping along from tent to tent, and seeming to whisper.
All is well, all is well, all is well.
A moment only, he feels the spell of the place, and the hour, and the secret dread of the lonely belfry, and the dead.
All is well, all is well, all is well. For suddenly,
all his thoughts are bent
where the river widens to meet the bay,
a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide.
Like a bridge of boats,
Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride,
Booted and spurred with a heavy stride,
on the opposite shore,
walked Paul Revere.
now he gazed on the landscape far and near, then impetuous stamped the earth.
and turned, and tightened his saddle girth.
But mostly,
He watched with eager search the belfry tower of the old North Church.
As it rose above the graves on the hill,
Lonely and spectral and somber and still.
and lo,
As he looks on the belfry's height to glimmer, and in a gleam of light he springs to the saddle,
The bridle he turns
but lingers
and gazes.
till full on his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns,
a hurry of hopes in a village street,
a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark,
And beneath from the
a
pebbles,
spark struck out by a steed that flies fearless and fleet. That was all.
and yet, through the gloom and the light, the fate of a nation was riding that night.
And the spark struck out by that steed in his flight kindled the land into flame with its heat.
He has left the village and mounted the steep.
and beneath him, tranquil and broad and deep, is the mystic, meeting the ocean tides.
Now soft on the sand, now loud on the ledge is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides.
When he crossed the bridge into Medford town,
He heard the crowing of the cock,
and the barking of a dog, and felt the damp of the river fog that rises when the sun goes down.
it was white by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed.
And the meeting house windows, blank and bare, gaze at him with a spectral glare, as if they already stood aghast at the bloody work they would look upon. It was 2 by the village clock when he came through the bridge and conquered town.
And one, now safe and asleep in his bed, who at the bridge would be first to fall, who that day would be lying dead, pierced by a British musket ball. You know the rest.
In the books you have read how the British regulars fired and fled.
How the farmers gave them ball for ball from behind each fence and farmyard wall,
Chasing the redcoats down the land.
then crossing the fields to emerge again under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire and load.
So through the night rode Paul Revere, and so through the night went his cry of alarm to every Middlesex village and farm.
A voice in the darkness,
A knock at the door,
And the word that shall
echo,
echo, forevermore.
for born on the night wind of the past, through all our history to the last, in the hour of darkness and peril and need.
The people will waken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed and the midnight message of Paul Revere.